first surgery, to be honest, I was a little bit anxious, uncomfortable, and this is what I'm going to talk about, preparedness, how mentally you are, mindfulness, and all these little things I learned, and I learned through experience. And so the first round, you are right. Am I going to come back? Am I going to not? But I forced myself to just kiss my parents goodbye. See you later. I'll see you tomorrow.
Get the knafa ready. I'll be
Get the knafa, get the tabbouleh ready. My mum makes the best tabbouleh. Get all.
I would like to challenge you that because my mum makes the best.
We're on. The challenge is on.
Let's get the orders, right?
I'll get it to Korea, a box tomorrow.
Guys, welcome to another episode of Jibber with Jabber. Today I have Shads with me. It's going to be an incredible episode. We're going to talk about life, death, in no specific order. Shads, it's amazing to have you with me. Welcome.
Mate, thank you for having me. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. And thanks for the private tour, the family tour just prior to starting.
No, thank you for coming, man. I always love to hear people's stories. Like when you first reached out, I was like, you literally, like the message that you sent, I was like, let me just quickly go on his profile. And I was like, yes, this is like something that I'm going to learn for, because I'm really into kind of like learning from people's experiences. Okay. If I can't have them myself. And that's kind of one I don't want to have myself, and I'd rather learn it from you, for as long as possible. Yep. But you have an amazing story, dude. You have a couple of amazing stories. Where do you want to start? I'm going to leave you to start with this.
I think this platform gives me the opportunity to basically follow what my vision has become after I had the chance to relive life. And I don't think many people can say that. So I've always been into spirituality and mindfulness and so forth way before it became a trend. But then...
Because you're pretty old, right?
Very old. We just discovered that I'm the second oldest guest you've had. So
it's the Lebanese genes, bro. They're going to keep you 30 forever.
I know, mate. It's the good food, I guess. The Mediterranean diet. Yeah. So I'm not vegetarian. Okay. I'm not vegan. I eat everything and anything in the right way. So we'll talk a little bit about nutrition. And I'm someone who's very careful about my diet as well, since I bear these beautiful 26-inch scars. So, the way I've reset my journey is when I discovered that I needed to have an open heart surgery, basically. And the way that came about is I had something called a heart murmur.
My mum has that, yeah.
Yeah, many people do have a heart murmur, and it depends on how they basically look after themselves or how it gradually progresses to something else. And one checkup, the yearly checkup, I was told your heart's gonna give up eventually. It has deteriorated. You have severe regurgitation. You have ruptures in your cortis. So it's a multiple physical and mechanical kind of issues that were in the heart. And I was a interesting stage in my life at that time, pretty young, pretty fit, back in Australia, and was wondering, first thing, everything, why me? I've always lived a healthy life and so forth. And then you realize that it is what it is. What are you going to do about it? So we had to take action.
How old were you then?
I was, I don't want to give my age away. But yeah, I would have been 40 for the first one.
Very
40
young.
For the first one. And again, the narrative is that usually older people in their 70s and 80s and people who are sedentary, not moving, obese, etc., only suffer from cardiovascular diseases. So that could have been congenital heart disease that was never picked up before. And I previously had other licenses where medical license needed, deep assessment of your heart and ECG, etc., and it was never picked up before. So it could have been a congenital heart disease that only showed up as an adult congenital heart disease.
Wow.
So people need to understand there is such thing as also congenital heart defects and diseases at older age that they appear. And I had something called regurgitation of the valve where, when you work out, for example, excessively, or without even working out, you have regurgitation of the oxygenated blood going backwards, and you have less oxygen into your lungs, your heart overworks, and then you finally heart, you give up, or it gets bigger and you get complication, water retention, and the list goes on. So to make it quickly, when I was told you need a heart surgery, I thought, what? You will not believe it. When the technician was doing the ECG and I did a stress test as well, and I thought, man, I'm like Superman on this treadmill. I'm running. I'm killing it. I'm feeling good. I'm asymptomatic. There's nothing. There's no evidence to say, like you and I, hanging around talking, and, you could be a time bomb.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to scare you, but that's the reality.
No, I totally believe you, because, and another thing is why this is such an important subject to me is my father passed away of a heart attack when he was 36.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was maybe 3 years old.
Okay.
So it really does hit home, this kind of, conversation that we're
That's
having.
the reality. And I hope that the listeners listening out there, which we'll get into it, how many of them have actually had a heart check or scheduled a heart check? I think the latest study conducted by Cleveland Clinics in Abu Dhabi has shown that the leading cause of death in the UAE residents, all UAE, is cardiovascular disease, 28%.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think 50% don't actually check their heart in the last 2 years, and 38% never even check their heart. So to come back to my journey is, I had to have that operation. I was shocked, man. My life came to a complete stop. And that's where I talk about uninterrupted resilience. And that journey, that time, actually just shat on my life. It actually put it to a complete halt. It disrupted my dreams. It disrupted everything possible. Yeah. And I thought, man, I'm an 80-year-old man here. I'm going to have an open heart surgery. I don't know how I'm going to recover. I don't know what side effect. Everything in your life, the dreams that you've had, is because we're conditioned in our society that when you are diagnosed with a heart problem, that you are going to take a different journey. You're going to become handicapped. You're going to become someone in need of support or whatever. No one talks to you about that. It's going to be, it's just a hurdle. You're going to overcome it. No one normalizes it, because unfortunately, that's how we raise our kids. That's how the education system works. That's how the mainstream narrative is. So I did my best during the recovery. It's one of the most challenging recovery that I tell anyone out there who want to know what is it like coming out after you had your heart flatline. So you got to remember, your heart has been flatlined, stopped. Your blood's been passed through by a perfusionist into a machine to keep it oxygenating, keep your other organs oxygenated while your heart is being worked on.
So you're essentially dead while that's
Essentially
happening.
dead. You're actually clipped. When you look at the discharge report, it tells you for how long your heart has been clipped, which means stopped, flatline.
How long were you?
I think the first one, it was 192 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, literally your heart has stopped. So I
Wow.
can easily sit here and say, okay, maybe my brain was working, my kidneys and organs, but they're all working through a bypass machine.
Yeah.
That they won't active. My heart was stopped. And that's the beauty about the heart. It remembers, it can be resuscitated, it could come back easily. But you also have to remember there's the risk out there that I could have died as well during surgery. There could have been multiple complications, etc. So I take that in my stride. I recover. The ICU was recovery from the ICU was. I had a previous podcast where I was asked about it, and I would say it's like you're surrounded by demons. You're hallucinating. You're pumped with every kind of drugs, from fentanyl to morphine to you name it. You just can't communicate. As you come out, you're actually intubated. So the machine's breathing for you. And when you do come around, you can't tell anyone that I'm back around, take the bloody tube out. It's a struggle. It is a struggle. And then you realize that you're not in control.
Yeah, it's very.
You think you're in control. You're not in control. So this is what you got to do. Okay, I'm here, all this pain, all this darkness. What do I do? Where do I shift? What can I do? So you have to realize I can't do anything. So I'm going to accept it. I'm going to wait till that time comes along where I can take control, and take control. So the first thing I started to learn is, who am I at this stage? Am I accepting this craziness and will make a change out of it, come out a better person? Or do I go deeper in this darker journey and suffer more and say why me and so forth? And I tell you, that 24 hours in ICU was hell. And I think that was my trigger where my journey basically flipped, where I started thinking all the money in the world, all the cars in the world, anything in the world is not going to change having that catheter in my willy, having batteries connected to my heart, being on drugs, being intubated, unable to know what the next minute is going to bring. And that's when reality hits people, death.
Yeah.
And I had the opportunity to actually die and come back. And if that is not enough lesson to teach me to take the right journey, I don't know what is. 2 years later, fast forward, same shit happens again.
Wait, I'm going to stop you there because I have something that I want to ask you before. Now, you're at the stage where they say, okay, your heart's going to stop.
Yep.
You need to do this surgery.
Yep.
Where do you go from? Because me, even though I have all this history of stuff, I think, obviously I'm not in the position, so I can't make that decision, but I'd be like, no, I'm good. It won't stop. Like, where do you come to the acceptance of, this is a reality, I have to do this? Because obviously, as men, as people in the fitness industry, as spiritual beings, we're kind of like, no, I'll be okay. I'll be good. I think I can weather this out. So where does it come to the point where you're like, no, there's no way out other than this? Where do you make that decision?
In the sense of...
to accept to do the surgery.
I mean, again, everyone has a choice. Everyone out there, whether it's cancer, kidney problems, whatever, which are all part of adversities, the decision has to be made on where you want your journey to go forward. And again, I get asked that question before. And people say, do you have a choice? This is life and death. And I say, yeah, you have a choice. I could have said, no, I don't want to do this surgery. I want to see where, in 1 year time, how things progress. You know what? I want to enjoy my life. I've got a couple of more holidays to go, and then I'll take on that risk. I want to, live life to the fullest before that risk is there. I said, no, if it's needed, let's do it. Whatever the outcome is, that's how my journey is.
Yeah, I totally understand. But I want to challenge you on that. How do you come to terms? And did you come to terms? Was there a part of you that really believed before going in that I might not come out of this? How big was that kind of hurdle? Because everyone says you might not come out of it.
Yeah.
But did you prep? Did you have your wills done? Did you kind of, were you planning not to come back out of it?
That's bullshit. That's giving in to death. When you start writing a will and when you start saying goodbyes, I went by cab. I didn't let anyone drop me off. Yeah. I remember I did not even take PJs with me. I was, first surgery, to be honest, I was a little bit anxious, uncomfortable, and this is what I'm going to talk about, preparedness, how mentally you are, mindfulness, and all these little things I learned, and I learned through experience. And so the first round, you are right. Am I going to come back? Am I going to not? But I forced myself to just kiss my parents goodbye. See you later. I'll see you tomorrow.
Get the knafa ready. I'll be
Get the knafa, get the tabbouleh ready. Yeah. My mum makes the best tabbouleh. Get all.
I would like to challenge you that because my mum makes the best.
We're on. The challenge is on.
Let's get the orders right.
I'll get it to Korea a box tomorrow. So I mean, I know what you're saying, but I have to disagree with you because mentally, that's where I started learning.
That the body listens to.
The mind is so powerful. Yes, when I got told you need open heart surgery, I'm going, what the? This is absurd. Why me? Are you kidding? Yeah. Are you sure? Is there a mistake with the technician diagnosis? It's impossible. I just said, no, you're fucked. You got to do your heart. You got to sort yourself out.
How long after you found out did you do the surgery?
6 months.
Wow.
6 months.
So there was some time.
Well, I mean, it's a 6 month because I had to prep myself. And coming back where there is the risk of dying and not. What they do actually in hospital, you actually go through a checklist of to see what your morbidity rate is, and it's all based on your glucose level, your blood pressure, diabetes, if you do have it, other side effects that you might have that might cause a complication during the heart surgery. And I'm very proud to say, and that's something for everyone listening out there, live a healthy life. Because when shit hits the fan, your healthy body is going to either support you or is eventually going to kill you. And based on that morbidity rate or rating or scale, I was very low. So it was saying my body will come out. But all it takes a nick to bleed when you're dealing with heart surgery, and kaput, you're done. So all these other aspects supported me to say, you know, it's just a surgery, I'm going to get over it. But I didn't realize what comes with heart surgery is depression, anxiety, the blues, you're deflated. A lot goes on because your mobility and the way you learn to breathe again is an art. You know, I had pneumothorax during the surgery, which is a complication, which is a collapse of the lung. And it's a very strong thing to overcome. But again, I started to say to myself, it's all part of the way the process works. It's our culture, our upbringing, our school, our religion, our whatever it might be that condition all these fears in our head, you know. And
there's limiting beliefs and stuff that you've been programmed with.
You no longer know what your limitations are, and there are many people out there who do not know their limits. They know their limits based on their brain conditioning and their environment conditioning. Speed it up, second round. I get told your heart surgery failed into the second year. We got to do it again. And this time we're going to do the beautiful, nice scar coming right down, open the sternum. And we're going to go through the process again. And I had an amazing heart surgeon who said to me, Shady, you're not a bikini model, so who cares how big your scar is? Let's get this done the right way. Now, this I knew where I've become a different person. I was so prepared. I was ready. I was excited. I knew I had a second chance. It was just formidable. You will not believe it, but I knew I had a second chance. Someone out there doesn't know what's wrong with them. So I knew about the intubation. I knew about the pain in ICU. I knew everything I'm going to go through, preparedness. So acceptance, ticked all the boxes. Mindfulness, I knew I have to prepare my mind because I knew what to expect. Thirdly, I shifted into a natural state of resilience, knowing that none of the things you spoke about, the fear or am I going to come back again, did not even let him disturb me in any way, did not even let him fire in any synapse in my brain to say, fear, not at all. So it was rewiring my brain. I thought, wow, this is so powerful. This is bloody real. You've always heard Deepak Chopra with quantum physics and all these people talking about mind rewiring. You go, what are these people talking about? All this bullshit, you know? Oh my goodness. The power to be able to rewire your mind, and I'll do little things with you now, and you realize why you don't want to do things, because you're conditioned, not because you're unable to. It's purely conditioning in the state of mind. We did second heart surgery, and I tell you what, it was a blast, and I proved everything to myself. I came out. It was a blast. I enjoyed the fentanyl. I thought, man, you know what?
I'm going to go on a trip.
I'm on drugs. I'm going to enjoy this
time
legally.
I've got a ticket for this train ride. Exactly. I know where it's going. Yeah.
And it was so funny. I actually was saying, can you take a picture of me? Like, hey, he's this, you know. I took a different approach. Nothing changed. My heart still stopped. I still went under. I still went through ICU. But the approach towards that experience was totally welcomed. And when I welcomed and embraced that pain, that challenge, it turned into just an experience. I normalized it in my mind. So moving forward, I realized, my God, this mind thing really does work. This adversity is definitely, you have to go through traumatic experience to become resilient. So, you know, we do hear about the word resilient being abused all the time. And I always use this word probably the people who follow me or know me are bored of it. People prostitute the word resilience. Resilience economy, resilient school, resilient. Bullshit. Resilience is an innate, subjective, it's a tangible, measurable characteristic that you and I, our kids, your kids are born with. It's the environment we surround them with dictates what kind of resilient human beings there are. So if anyone wants to challenge this, pick up a book, pick up a scientific book, learn about resilience, read about Dr. Jacob, read about, not Jerkoff, Jacob, and read about the definition of resilience. Read about how people who grow up in a environment of abuse or environment of that lacks discipline or unhealthy environment or whatever it might be, it will come back to affect their resilience. Yeah. So again, we don't want to confuse resilience with lack of strength or weaknesses or things along these lines. You and I have resilience. Everyone here has resilience. Everyone listening has resilience. Their state of mind, of upbringing, condition them to be what kind of resilient person. And then the adversity that they come across in life will determine what kind of resilience will kick in. Now, can you rewire your brain to become more resilient? 100%. And scientific data proves that without a doubt. So you're sitting there and thinking, can I climb this mountain, or can I cross this channel, swim across this channel, or can I do this particular thing, or can I get into business? So what I learned from it is not only about just health, and I realized that this experiment that I was lucky and fortunate to go through can be applied in all kind of journeys. So the power of using this in overcoming adversity is massive. Now, what is adversity? Adversity comes in all forms. It could come at birth with defects, with handicap. It could be physical, it could be mental adversity, financial, or it could be collective. There's something called collective adversity. Collective adversity is something like COVID-19.
Or famine in an area.
Exactly. So the entire world will go through this. How they handle it is something very different. Yes, millions of people dying from COVID, but you get also 17.9 million die from cardiovascular disease per year. And that's the latest statistic, I think, 2019 from the World Health Organization. So it's very important when we do say things, we quote them scientifically, to basically try to realign the narrative out there. Cardiovascular disease is a massive killer. 1 in 5 heart attacks are silent. You don't know about, or strokes, are silent. You do not know about them. Every 36 seconds that you and I were sitting here, someone died from cardiovascular disease. So if this podcast is about an hour plus, about 120, 150 people going to die. So when you say per year, nearly 18 million people die, that's a population of the United Arab Emirates, nearly times 2, that go unnoticed. What are we doing about that? And I hope what I've experienced and what I'm planning to do to bring awareness to cardiovascular disease will get people off their ass and get them to check their heart. I don't want to turn the world into a fitness thing. That's not the thing. I believe if you can get diagnosed early, you will have chance to raise your kids. You'll have chance to follow up with your dreams. You'll have a chance to know what's wrong with you and fix it. It's as simple as that. It could be a 5-minute ECG checkup, and you know that you need a surgery, or you need to take medicine, or you know that you're good. It's simple. You and I, it's simple. But to get it through to the right parties to support it is where the challenge is. So back to adversity. We discussed a lot of kind of adversities. Now we came to mindfulness and resilience. And I thought, you know what? I started dealing with a lot of people through social media on Instagram who are undergoing kidney transplant, heart surgery, etc. People who even undergone severe recovery from chemotherapy, but they haven't gone it yet. They're just asking, what's the feeling? What do you do? How do I deal with it? And I found that I'm dealing with more and more and more people. I'm dealing with parents who've got kids with CHD, who I call heart warriors, because these kids only know the world in hospital the first year of their life or
Yeah.
more. And they know in 3 years they need another surgery. And they know that at age 10 they're going to need another surgery, and so forth. These are warriors. These are resilient human beings. They don't know any different.
Yeah.
But conditioning plays a role. They've been conditioned
Since birth.
to normalize what they're going through. Now, other people and oh, ya haram, oh, he's having a tough life or whatever. Let me tell you one thing. These warriors are tougher than you'll ever be for the rest of your life, because these guys know the beauty of life, the beauty of survival. And it's a shame that our society doesn't focus too much on teaching kids, or the education or curriculum system does not teach about adversity and resilience. We teach about empathy, and wherever the narrative...
If we teach about empathy, like what we're teaching in schools right now, to be honest, I don't want to get into it because we're going to start a whole conversation about what they're doing
That's
wrong.
a different episode.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally understand about that normalization. I mean, I grew up with a family friend who had Crohn's disease.
Okay.
So she was constantly in and out of hospital.
Yeah.
Operations after operations after operations after operations. Having
a very challenging disease, tubes, a bag, etc. Yeah.
And as she got to a certain age, it was normal for her. It wasn't, she wasn't scared. She was doing everything and that kind of stuff. And it just makes you realize that whatever position we're put in, if we're put in it long enough, our mind adapts and learns to kind of live with that situation,
Well, I mean, you're spot on. And that's where I started digging deeper into the study of resilience and what resilience is about. And I thought, wow, look, if I can do it, all these people can. And the first thing when someone contact me and say, look, Shady, I've been told I need a heart surgery. And I say, congratulations. What? Congratulations.
You're lucky, yeah.
You're lucky you had the opportunity not to be one of those statistics who just going to be found on their bed dead or going to drop dead while doing a presentation. We live in a world where we are creating snowflakes. Too many Karens out there. We are not teaching the world about diseases, normalization, how to accept it. First thing I say, congratulations. What do you feel? And it's all about, okay, I'm scared. I don't know what's going to happen with my life. I don't know what's going to say. Stop all that. First thing you got to do, your disease is discovered, your problem, your adversity is recognized, accept it. If you cannot accept it, you are not going to go through the different steps to get to your resilient mindfulness. Anything in life, let's shift a little bit away from cardiovascular disease and implement it into anything in life. A bad relationship, a bad business. If you can recognize that there's a problem there, or overweight, let's take overweight, let's take obesity. If you can't recognize you are overweight and you're going to keep denying it, let's forget, we're not going anywhere. Now, you're a PT, you've been a PT, and you meet a lot of athletes. Until someone comes to you, they recognize that challenge and say, I am overweight. You're wasting your time. You are wasting your time. And
even sometimes when they come to you and they still haven't, and you're trying to make them aware of what they need specifically.
Correct.
They still
they have a barrier.
Yeah, they have a barrier, and and I'm like, listen, I'm not here to be your best friend. I can be. It's fine for you to pay me, but you need to do 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Right now, you're only thinking about 1. It's like, you get it a lot with female clients and scales. And they're like, I haven't lost any weight on the scale. And I'm like, yeah, Binti, but you're 5 dress sizes smaller. I don't understand. Why do you care about the scale? Like, do you know what I mean?
It's a mentality.
It's important to them so much. And it's like, but you are 4 dress sizes smaller.
That's not enough. She wants to say she's 40 kilos. But again, it's education as well. But again, let's take the example of the person who is overweight. Until they accept that they are overweight, then the next step would be, I'm going to let go of what led me to this stage in my life, the obesity stage, And don't tell me, oh, I don't eat and whatever. I don't know. Stop,
Yeah.
people, everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone knows about calorie in, calorie out.
Yeah, if you're not in a
We're
calorie
not going to
deficit,
talk
you're not
about
gonna-
diets.
yeah.
We're not going to talk about other stuff. It's a simple process. I have not seen a prisoner of war who's overweight.
Yeah.
Okay? They are all underweight because they are malnutrition.
Yeah.
They're not fed properly, hardly get any calories inside them. Any person who gets lost out in the wilderness, they lose weight, they don't put on weight.
Yeah.
So people, there's a calorie issue of intake. So anyway, so we need to let go of their past, of their traumas.
I was just going to say traumas. Recognizing traumas is a very difficult thing, but whenever anyone does recognize it, I mean,
Yeah.
you get it in homeless people,
Yeah.
drug addicts, you get it in people who are overweight, that one day, like some of them go,
Yeah.
nah, not anymore. They
But-
recognize, they find what's going on, and they decide, nah.
But a lot of people carry the trauma
And
to
pass
be
it on
called a
as well.
victim,
They pass it
and
on
they
to the
carry it
children.
on for years, and they want to because that's their excuse.
Because they're
So
not accountable for who they become if they have to be the person that
perfect.
lets go.
So let's recognize the trauma. I mean, the word trauma, again, another trendy word these days being used massively. There's too much depth into trauma. So whether it's mental illness, whether how you were abused. And we're coming back to what exactly the Harvard studies say. It's innate. It's adversity is something between an individual characteristic and the environment. So you have to go back and say, why do I act like that? Why am I overweight? Where is that trauma of overeating coming from? It doesn't have to be a trauma of overeating, but what is that trauma that led me to overeat? Is it my childhood? Was I bullied? Was I overweight in school and I just couldn't let go of it and now I eat more? Or I don't have the willpower just to control my objective. So recognition, which is acceptance, letting go is vital. Letting go is something that can be applied in business and relationships, in everything else. So if you're in a bad relationship and you do want to move forward and you accept it's a shitty relationship, mate, you're not going to go anywhere if you don't let go of it.
Yeah.
You have to let go. And I mean let go, I mean let go, like fully. No need to, but maybe
No,
stay
yeah, for
friends.
sure.
Maybe, I'll visit a little bit here.
You need to
let,
get rid
let
of
go.
that. Same
Once-
with business,
Yeah.
as well.
Same, that's life. I mean,
Same with startups and entrepreneurs, which
Yeah.
everyone and their daughter and dog is an entrepreneur now. But sometimes it's always also important to realize that what you're doing is not going to go anywhere. So you have to
Mate,
let go of that
I-
business and move on and see what you can.
and you know why some people don't want to let go?
Because it's their
It's
ego
their
and their
pride.
baby and their.
I'm
yeah,
going to be called a
Yeah,
failure.
yeah, exactly.
Hang on. Better to be a failure now
Yeah.
and get your dignity back and rebuild again than continue to flog a horse that's not going anywhere. I mean, there's a limit. And I always say there are things that you can work on. There are things that you can correct. So let's take a relationship for an example. A relationship has two parties in it, yeah? And you might be thinking it's not working for you, but maybe you have not divulged deeper enough into their emotion and realize it's not working for them as well. So maybe communicate and both agree that it's not going anywhere. Or maybe sometimes it's not working because you have failed and you have a lot of shortfalls that you are unable to fix this. So by accepting that you are screwing up, by accepting that you're going out, you're drinking, you're still acting like a 22-year-old kid, not holding your part as a partner, and that could be male or female. I'm not one of those taking sides, but it's any party that is contributing to the failure. If both parties agree and open communication, accept, move, let go. Now, where does resilience come in all this kind of conversation? It's reoccurrence of a problem, you're prepared. My heart surgery second time, prepared. I became resilient. I transcended beyond the acceptance. And like I say, it was a blast. It's a blast from the past. And guess what? I'm probably due for another open heart surgery 3, 4, 5 years' time. So these things don't fix themselves. People don't realize that adversity is something, it's not a chapter that will come in your life and disappear. No. Whoever you might be, AJ, every single person you have interviewed and you will interview in the future will face adversity. If it's not the case,
Has or will,
has or will, and even they have, it will come in a different term. And the most important thing that needs to be recognized is we're not going to live forever. And I think that's so powerful, and I don't need to say it. Everyone hears it every day. You hear it every day. But are you taking it and doing something about it? That's a different story.
Hearing and listening are two
Hearing
different
is
things.
and taking action, towards it. So I find this is where the failure of people stops. They accept, they don't let go, they don't practice mindfulness. And what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is you recognizing, I'm recognizing, hang on, I'm being an arsehole at this current moment. I'm overeating at this moment. Mindfulness does not purely mean peacefulness and thinking.
And all that.
I mean, it comes up exactly.
So it's literally the sister of awareness. Like to be aware
of your physical action and your subconscious.
Not just yours, other people as well, and your surroundings
and
stuff.
how you
once
affect other
once
people.
you're a bit more aware of that stuff, and then it's just like, okay.
Correct. But why has it become more challenging, mindfulness, these days? As I mentioned earlier in the podcast, we live in a very weak society. And I'm not knocking society down. I'm part of it. I play a role in it. So does everyone else. But there's this mainstream narrative that I like to call it a mainstream narrative. It's either you follow this journey, you follow this particular life, you follow this particular whatever. I don't want to get into much details. You don't belong. You're not part of this planet anymore. What happened to choice? I remember in Australia in the 80s and 90s, when anyone spoke, you say free country. I want to walk barefooted. It's free country. It's that freedom is now stripped away and has been replaced with a narrative. And the narrative is, mate, no one tells me off if I eat lollies and junk and so forth. All of a sudden, if I'm eating organ, everyone's starting to make a judgment. Hang on, this is not making sense to me. We all know what sugar does to you, etc. does to you, but everyone's quiet about it. We market it, we promote it, we want to be sponsored by it and so forth. But then at the end of the day, when you start eating natural and so forth, and again, I'm not for vegan, veg, or meat eaters or whatever, nothing. It's a choice, and I respect your choice. But what I want you to do is respect my choice too. So I'm not going to throw the scientific book at you why plant diet is not effective, and I'm not going to throw the book at you and say why eating too much meat is also going to affect you. And that's someone coming out from an open heart surgery who I respect diets, I respect nutrition, I respect fitness, and people get confused with fitness. There's a lot of people out there who are on a planned diet or on a different kind of keto diet or you name it, whatever it might be, but they've never done blood works. They don't really know how healthy they are. They don't know their blood pressure. They don't know the function of their kidneys. They do not know their liver, if it's fatty or not. They do not know their glucose level, and the list goes on. So we're living in this society where people are afraid to become resilient because society wants you to be in this comfort zone. Everything is moving smoothly. This is how it has to be. It's okay to be in pain. Like, I could easily classify myself in Australia that I require help. I'm handicapped. I've had an open heart surgery. I need counseling. I need mental support. And I'm not saying that some people do not need that, but we tend to shift away from normalizing adversities in life. It's okay to let a child know that they're going to face a lot of challenges in life, but we always want to protect them. So the society itself is not supporting us to become resilient. It's making it challenging for people to be mindful of what they say. People are afraid to say what's on their mind.
Yeah, because they're scared to be that person that doesn't go with the flow of everyone else. And they don't want to be that person that stands up for what they believe in, because they're so demonized now for having any belief that isn't the common belief. That people are scared. Yeah,
you just use the word common.
Yeah.
So who's dictating what is common?
The man. No, but I get what you're saying. But this is the thing that I want to talk about, because you mentioned children. And again, for me, children are the purest form of human beings before they grow up and become assholes.
Yeah.
And children are so resilient until they're taught not to be.
Yeah.
by school, by education, by TV, by
I would say
everything.
by school first.
Yeah,
Yep.
all that stuff. Children are unbelievably resilient. I mean, I spoke to this about James. Spoke to James about this recently. We had an issue where one of my twins, Zane, I don't even like talking about this now. So he put his hand in the juicer while it was on.
Yep. Wow.
Tore his hand apart completely.
Wow.
Like it looked like he had a grenade in his hand. I still haven't even processed it because it was a thing. So
Traumatic.
Traumatic. I even told my wife when his hand. I mean, now it's all healed up and everything. There's a
Thank
bit
God.
of. He's just getting the thingies back, but they stitched him up and all that stuff. And I even told my wife, I was like, listen, when that last finger does this, I'm going away for a day. Don't talk to me, and I'm going to go and explode on the mountain. And because I've had to be the dad, and everything's okay, and you have to get the bandages changed, and don't worry, guys, everything's fine or whatever. But to see how quickly he kind of moved on from the trauma, you know, kind of like freak accident, been juicing around them for years. Never done it before. Very quiet, slow press juicer.
I know.
Saw an apple in there, put his hand in there. You know, I came out, I had to rip the juicer apart and all that stuff. But to see the way, like if it was an adult, we would have been going crazy for weeks.
I was just
and
about
attention and this and that. Him 2 days later, bandage on, he's done, he's ready to go to play football and everything.
But hold on, let's pause here for a second and analyze why he is where he is today.
Because how I've taught him to be.
The
from
environment. The environment. Now you could have freaked out. The mum could have freaked out, not just during the incident.
Even
post.
I had to stop her from doing that because she was doing that.
Correct.
And I'm sorry, and I was like, listen, don't be sorry. It's not
happened.
your fault. It's happened.
So let's apply.
And you have to be positive around him, and because he's going to feed off the energy of everyone around.
Let's apply the 4 steps: acceptance. That shit just happened. That trauma just happened. Let go of what just happened. We're not gonna carry it and for him for the rest of his life. Whether even, let's say, one of the fingers is not fully functional. It just happened in an accident.
He's done.
It's not gonna define him. So let's let it go. Let's be mindful of what he's been through, and the mindfulness for us to also be more aware of what's going on. But for him, all he knows the initial step. And it proves that your child has resilience in him that is natural, innate characteristic that no one put in there. The environment reinsured and reconfirmed for him to continue on that resilient path. If that was another environment, another child, another household, it could be a totally different outcomes. Till today, they could be, don't pick up the glass, don't touch this.
I was the opposite. I was taking it to the beach, play with the sand and pick this up, and no, use the other hand because it's fine. And
exactly. But someone else who passes it on from generation to generation, over pampering. And please,
be careful. Don't
anyone listening here, I'm not saying don't show love.
I am. Stop making them into pumps.
Love. Love. Don't confuse love with teaching someone to be resilient. I mean, I'm sure you still love and love too much love, but you, I think, have delivered without a doubt. And I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist here, but I'm talking from experience. And I've interviewed, if you listen to some of my podcasts, people who had amputated arms, and they are the best CrossFitters in the world. And I interviewed them before they became that, which I'm very proud to say, because I recognize that fire inside him. Victor, the name of the champ, he's South American, quarter Lebanese actually, and he's just taken out the world championship.
Most champions have some Lebanese.
There you go. And I interviewed a young gentleman who lost both of his legs in Afghanistan, a soldier.
Wow.
He's now climbing mountains. He just did Kilimanjaro. But you got to listen to how, first thing he said when he lost his legs, and the medics around him, he goes, "Have I got my balls?" First thing he said. So again, it's the power of the mind, of how you want to define your situation. And yeah, you freaked out. You pulled his hand out, and but then you controlled yourself. You could have made it so traumatic
It's crazy
that it
how-
will never leave his mind.
It's crazy how the fight or flight works as well. That's something even my wife was like, dude, you were like some kind of military dude. Like,
Yeah.
because I came out and I noticed, okay, this is a circus in here. They're all going nuts. They're running around like this chickens.
And no one's doing anything.
Yeah, and no one's doing anything. So I was just like, every step, carrying him, take him to the car, take him, drive him to the hospital. No, go to the hand specialist. Go do that. And the one thing that really pissed me off was the doctor when they were stitching his little hand together. He was like, "Oh, you need to leave.
Wait outside."
Yeah, and I was like, "What do you mean?" And he was like, "You shouldn't see this as a parent." I was
What?
like, piss off, mate.
Again.
Whatever he goes through, I go through. I'm not gonna let you.
Again, a real doctor, he would be there saying, "Come, have a look. Let's
at
see
what we're
what's
doing."
going
Yeah,
on."
yeah.
And that tells you a lot. Even through the first doctor that I was sent to, I refused because my consultation with that doctor who was going to operate on me sucked. He was looking down. He thought he was some hot shot, with all respect. And then I chose someone who really fitted well with my life, understood what my lifestyle is going to be, what I needed in life, and to make sure that the surgery is going to complement the lifestyle I wanted to achieve post-heart surgery. And, I'm glad you recognized and a lot of people talk about medicine and doctors and surgery, and they think they have no choice. Because the moment a doctor says, you need to do this, oh my God, the doctor's God. He's right. He knows it all.
I'm the opposite
Guys,
of that, mate.
Anyone listening, doctors, you can choose. It's like a shopping center.
Yeah.
There's a good doctor, there's a shit doctor,
And there's a lot of them that want to make money.
and a lot of them that's wanting to have surgery after surgery after surgery. With all respect to doctors, I have amazing friends who are doctors. My cardiologist is kick-ass amazing, and he just said to me, do whatever your body wants to do. We'll revisit later. Of course, there are limitations and there are things embedded in the protocol of what's right and what's wrong. But then the protocol for heart rehab is for a 60, 70-year-old. I went there, I'm going, what's this? Walk 50 meters today? I bloody went for a 10K walk. You know what I mean? And I did.
And you know yourself as well.
And I was on beta blockers. I was like drugged out. Fuck, my heart was not even moving.
Like just graffitiing the walls as you're going past and stuff.
Look, life is good. It's how you shift it. Here you are talking about incident with your son, and a lot of people out there have a lot of other incidents as well. But if you are listening to this and you are traumatized by something, ask yourself, how long do I need to let this poison me for?
Yeah, how long is it going?
When am I going to face it, accept it, get stronger and move on? Get stronger is not like, come on, get stronger, get on, forget about. No.
The strength of releasing.
No one's telling you here, forget about it.
Yeah.
You need to treat it.
Yeah.
And you need to treat it with the proper acceptance steps. You need to say, I am overweight. I am obese because I indulge. I am overweight. The best always excuse, hormonal, pituitary gland problem, thyroid problems. The list goes on. Fine if you're diagnosed with that. Otherwise, don't bring that up. You know what I mean? And I'm not knocking people who are overweight.
No, totally.
I'm just
Unfortunately,
saying,
again, what you're doing now is something we've been conditioned to do. To actually say a fact that's very beneficial to people. And very straight up, I'm trying to help you from a place of love. But you backtrack a little bit and say, but listen, I'm not trying to, because we've been convinced that you can't just say, no, listen, this is the way it is.
Oh, yeah.
Because people aren't ready for this tough love. So you got to put the disclaimer after it, which is like, by the way, for you Karens out there, or for anyone that's going to comment this, I'm just going to protect myself.
That's my favorite. Karens and snowflakes, mate.
With this statement after,
No, I mean, I'm going to be very blunt here. Stop. Look at yourself in the mirror. I mean, a lot of people recognize that they are overweight through photos, whether it's at a wedding or a party or whatever, and it's shared with them, and they go, shit, is that me? Because your brain is also conditioned when you're looking in the mirror as well. You do not see it as other people do. And I don't want the focus to shift on just overweight or etc. My shift here is about the mainstream narrative of how we want to let everyone know that everything is okay. All fuck-ups in life are okay. Accept them, please. I mentioned previously things about inclusivity and making sure that we are all together, and make sure that everybody is welcomed, fine, that's all great, that's all great love.
Yeah.
But where's the reality? Let's speak the truth. And I think I went pretty hard once, and someone inboxed me about something I said about Nike previously, where they actually joined the wagon, and they introduced the overweight mannequins in their store. Overweight, plus size, whatever you want to call it. The fact remains the same. They were
glamorizing.
They were saying we're part of this role. Now, that is great. That is such an amazing achievement, and part on Nike and the fitness industry, manufacturing industry, to say that we want everybody to get fit. If that was the message, I think the message was more that we're part of this, we support this, and come on board, and let's everyone love us. Hang on, did Nike also say that yes, you need to work out, but did they put a disclaimer in there saying obesity is one of the number one behavioral problems that causes cardiovascular disease? Did Nike contribute to nutritional plans and diet? No, it was purely putting in mannequins to be part of the narrative. To let people come in. Now, people might say, Shady, you're an asshole, that is the wrong approach. It's a fact. It is a fact. We're not saying that you have to be that particular body type to work out. I'm not against that. You could be the skinniest, you can be the biggest, you could be whatever. I'm just saying those big brands, entities that come on board for the narrative are not also sharing what needs to be done to become fit. Are you saying, but that's the body type? Hang on. Body type, there is bigger body type.
You're preaching to the choir right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a bigger body type, but there's overweight body type that will eventually kill you.
Yeah.
We're living in a world where we beat the drum and we celebrate big entities, which is power. This is part of the normal life. We celebrate these powerful entities, no matter what is it they manufacture, they produce, or they sell, whether being a product or whether being a narrative. But I think the world is starting to recognize the mainstream narrative and the truth. And we need to, people like you and I and many others, need to find a solution. And the solution is debate, open debate. Doesn't mean if my narrative is different than yours, it's incorrect or it's fake, or it shouldn't be applied to life. I'm a human and I have same rights as you. I have different perspective,
Which is what makes society, essentially. Do you know what I mean?
But it's shifted. Yeah. You're talking about the last 5-6 years. Yeah. You are, like you said, we spoke about schooling. We spoke about curriculum. Curriculum. It's telling you from the word go. Yeah. This is our curriculum. This is what we teach. Yeah. It's not a flow. Yeah, there are wonderful schools like the Green School in Bali and so forth, but it's not the whole world.
Montessori's are starting to kind of change that by they're doing like what the kid enjoys to do. So they're basing the learning more around that.
Correct.
Which is really...
But there's a lot of hidden messages in curriculums as well. Your kid comes home telling you a story and you're like, what the heck? What have you been watching? Which news channel you've been watching?
We had that the other day when they were Remembrance Day with the poppies.
Yeah.
And the boys were in the bath and they were like, and all the soldiers went and killed each other with guns and stuff like that. And I was like, hold on a minute. Like, why are they talking about war and killing? They're 4 years old.
Why? You know why? And I'm glad you brought that up. I will never allow my daughter to apologize for anything previous generation have done. It is not her fault. And I say very strongly, and I've been watching people make their kids apologize for something. Guys, history is history. Let's respect the history book for being what it is. I am not going to allow my daughter to apologize for something she totally knows nothing about and her father knows nothing totally about. That's history. If you're gonna take me back to the Roman and Phoenician and whatever to Apollo, this is where our focus has shifted, and this is where we're consumed with social media, with narratives, we overeat, we indulge, and we forget
You get
about
distracted by
health
everything,
and
yeah.
life and
Yeah.
happiness and spirituality. It's important to distract. How many people gonna enjoy the podcast? Maybe 50% gonna say what an asshole Shady is. Who's this guest?
27,000.
Mate,
Yeah.
if out of the 27,000, 10 people,
Yeah. Dude, even if one goes and checks their heart tomorrow,
that's
it,
perfect.
we're done, yeah.
If one checks their heart and if another one accept that their upbringing sucked and faces it
Yeah.
and say, you know what, I'm going to let go. I'm going to move on. I'm not going to let this poison me and poison my family and my next generation.
Yeah.
We won. This today podcast is not about promoting anything.
Yeah.
It's purely bringing consciousness to people and awareness that you have a choice. You have the power to rewire your mind. You have the power to be not a statistic out of those person who dies every 36 seconds. So check your heart. Life is beautiful. Remember, say whatever you want to say. It's your choice. If people are really your friends and really appreciate for who you are, they will tell you they don't disagree, but they don't hate you.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't build a wall against you. They will talk, and that's how life always used to be. You know, you were able to. I mean, do they still have debates in school, or that's something not allowed anymore?
I don't know how, dude, the way this cancel culture is going. I mean, look, cancel culture is so ridiculous. Even when it comes to the point that people are trying to cancel comedians.
Yeah.
Leave them alone.
Kevin Hart had
Let
a
them
wonderful,
do whatever they
wonderful
want.
thing. He
It's
said
comedy.
He said, "I've been cancelled so many times
Yeah.
before. Nothing new." Again, yes, in the eyes of the mainstream narrative, and by the way, nor am I left or right, nor am I middle, up or high or down or whatever. I am just talking the truth.
Dude, I'm the same as
What-
you.
what
You can't cancel me. You know why? Because I don't care.
No, I mean, again, you don't care.
Yeah.
But someone who has a sponsorship and someone who is looking for a job
Yeah.
and someone who's afraid on Instagram that their employer might read it and, side them off. There are multiple
Then
reasons
they're
why
in the wrong job. Then they're sponsored by the wrong people. Then
Correct.
I had the conversation and I was like, listen, mate, is there anything that you don't want me to talk about? Because I say whatever I want. And he was
Yeah.
like, nah, this is why we like you.
Yeah.
Right, sponsor. Do you know what I mean?
So you and I are on the same wavelength here. And you asked me in the beginning, hey, Shadi, how you? I said, whatever you like. Let's really go for it and enjoy it. But what I discovered is, I mean, look, there's so much trends going on. You said cancel culture. We spoke about inclusivity. Inclusivity is, yes, I am all for inclusivity.
Yeah.
I'm someone sitting in front of you wearing a deep V-neck showing my sky because I want to be included.
Yeah.
No, I'm proud of myself. I'm not ashamed of what I went through. I give it a purpose. I hope it gets other people out there who are embarrassed to go to the beach because they have a scar to go out there and be proud, part of their journey. But we continue. Every day we wake up, there's a new trend. I think the latest thing I heard was sustainable immigration or sustainable migration.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, what's next?
Yeah.
What is next?
Why are we capping things? Why are we
So,
putting caps on these things? Yeah.
I mean, I respect people borders. I respect people cultures. I respect people independence. I love globalization. Don't take me wrong, but let's globalize resilience. And let's globalize resilience in its human nature, not economical nature. When we talk resilient economy, resilient country, and so forth, we need to embed in our society the freedom of choice, number one. Secondly, we need to embed in our children strength to be able to think for themselves, and also the strength for them to know that adversity is something that will take place in life, and normalize it. We have to normalize adversity. You have to tell your child, you will fail. You will not always win. You might never win. You might not get the job you want to do. But what is so bad? Harvard, it's a title. Fine. I'm not saying I'm not all for Harvard, but it doesn't mean everyone who went to Harvard is the example of what the rest of the world. You're talking about small percentages that we, entire world, look at and just respect.
Yeah,
You're talking about tiny amount of the population that achieve the hundreds of millions of people around the world setting this as the standard. No.
But is it? But this is the thing. It's because, again, not everybody thinks the way we do. So for me, seeing someone, and how I teach my kids, is seeing someone who comes out of Harvard doesn't mean he's successful at anything.
Yeah.
What do you class as success? And I think the problem is that a lot of people have now been taught to class cars, a nice house, money, a great degree from a thing.
Materialism.
But that's not successful.
Materialism.
Successful is how well I raise my children.
Yep.
Successful is how well I treat my wife.
Yep.
Successful is how my home is such a place of love that everyone in there is just, do you know what I mean? Happy and learning and together. And
many might be listening to this agreeing with you, but
but
10 minutes later, they got to get to bed because they got to wake up like soldiers in the morning, do the run again, drop their kids at the school that has that curriculum that's going to enrich their kids to go into Harvard.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that you can't.
That's what I'm saying.
You can't fight the curriculum on the other, because you can always create that balance. So 100%. They get one side and then they come home and then they learn the real side.
We are talking, there's a lot out there who want to express themselves in that way, but because they're too conditioned, or they're too busy in life, or they're too distracted.
If you're too busy in life,
because you want to make a living.
No. If you're too busy in life that you're living, don't get me wrong, we need to pay for houses and all that stuff.
100%.
But that your living comes first before your family, in my opinion, you failed already.
100%.
You failed.
100%. But there's no statistics out there to tell you how many are failing as we speak today.
I can tell you.
A lot.
A lot.
That is the number, the word, it's more of a qualitative kind of research than quantitative. Because if you do it, I think, as a quantitative kind of study, you will be shocked. Look, we operate as robots, and I realized I don't chase the dollar. I chase a purpose. And that's due to being fortunate to have Flatline. And I have this project called Flatline Uninterrupted Resilience. I have this book that's coming out that talks about uninterrupted resilience. Because no matter who you are, your life will be interrupted. Businessman, entrepreneur, a billionaire, a millionaire. Look, a billionaire is going to die the same way as you. The billionaire is going to suffer the same pain as you. He might have a better doctor, but it's not going to make any difference. Once your organs give in, they're giving in.
But that's the beauty about death as well, which I find death is like the police of life. Because
it's beautiful.
No matter what you do, no matter how happy you are and successful and how much money you make, your mother's going to die. You're going to suffer. Your father's going to die. 100%. You're going to suffer. You might be unlucky enough to lose a child. You're going to suffer. A very close friend of you is going to, either way, you're standing over someone else's grave or someone else is standing over your grave.
100%.
And that's why I don't believe in these arguments and all that stuff. When people have these really deep arguments, I always say, look, picture yourself burying this person. Because that's what's going to happen. Either they're going to bury you or you're going to bury them. And that's when the regret will come. Is what you're arguing about now really worth the regret that's going to come? Because it's coming.
Look, again, I mean, you talk about arguments, and we could put it in a domestic kind of perspective, or we can put it in a business kind of perspective. Have a look at the legal system. How many people are in court just suing the shit out of each other? Because
families as well.
Because they don't agree or disagree, and it's about power and greed. We're not here doing this lovey hippie podcast. We're saying to the world, give up your job and give up school. Not at all. We have to conduct ourselves in a way where it's adaptable to the current environment. What's happening, we have lost ourselves. We've lost ourselves to this little machine here. Even myself coming out here, I was recording something, but I don't live by it. I don't let it
you're present
rule my life. You know what I mean? There's time to drop it. There's time to pick it up. but we get conditioned to just let go of what's important, what you and I are talking about. I would love whoever listened to this, when they finish, get a pen and paper, write down, am I happy in my job? Am I happy in my relationship? And be truthful. Be truthful to yourself. Am I happy in my relationship? Am I happy where I live? Do I have dreams that I want to accomplish? Whether it's going to the Maldives or taking on a new sport, whatever it might be, a big task or a small task. Write these things down. And if you find that you were unable to tick some of these elements that needs to be accomplished in your life, mate, you know that you have failed. You know you're living your life as...
And failing is good. And realizing that you're failing is amazing.
Acceptance.
Is amazing,
We come back to acceptance.
Understanding it.
Accept that I hate my job.
Yeah.
I accept that I feel shit every time I wake up and get into this traffic. I'm not telling everybody to stay home. Not at all.
Yeah.
Find something that liberates your emotion.
Yeah.
There's nothing... You think some billionaires go to bed, all of them happy?
No, majority of them don't.
Okay. You think there are so many successful entrepreneurs, the world is at their feet? Everyone's got challenges. The bigger you get, the bigger your challenge. The bigger you get, your bigger your loss. So people got to recognize with responsibility comes, with commitment comes responsibility. And as you grow, whether it's business, grow a family, grow whatever it might be, you are more accountable. You are more responsible to people, to yourself, to the tax department, to whatever it might be. So you got to take that in your stride. It doesn't necessarily mean you've ticked the box of business, you are the happiest person in the world. Look at celebrities. Divorces left, right, and center.
Drug
and I'm not saying
all of that stuff,
I'm not going to saying you have to be poor to be happy. Not at all. I'm not saying you have to be super successful, mega successful to be happy. Everyone faced challenges the last 2 years with that collective adversity that we spoke about, COVID-19, and the world showed
its true colors, mate.
Showed its true colors, showed its lack of preparedness, showed its lack of, hands together, or let's call it globalization. Some people might disagree and say, oh, what a wonderful, my background is health promotion and prevention. So I studied epidemiology. I studied about preventative measures that need to be taken place. I have my views.
And it showed the conformity and the weakness of people to just be like, okay,
well,
with certain situations when usually they make no sense whatsoever, and everyone was like, I guess so.
Okay,
I'll do what you say.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about vaccine, nor am I a vaxxer or anti-vaxxer. I was vaccinated.
It's all about choice.
I had to look at my underlying conditions, how it affects my heart. I discussed it with my cardiologist. It had risks, without a doubt. No one denied it. But again, this is where the fear factor plays a role. There were risks there, 100%. Nobody argued.
You're like, I've taken bigger leaps before.
There was pericarditis. There was inflammation of the heart membrane. It was there. Statistically, it's there. But the risk of me getting it and unable to, let's say, recover from it was higher. So I had to apply common sense and choice, and that's where I had to make particular decisions based on scientific data. But again, what is scientific data? Pull your phone out and say, too much water will kill you. You'll find scientific studies on it.
Yeah, of course. Don't ever go into Google and type in, I've got a cold in WebMD, because you've died about 19 times.
Correct. So the disposal that is the information that is available at our disposal is crazy. And that's what making us more crazy. Did you read this? And you pass this on. And someone said, there's always, and someone says, show me scientific paper. there's always another scientific
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. There's white papers everywhere, and an important thing to say when someone says, "Did you read this?" Say to them, "Did you?" Because most people share stuff they haven't even read,
No,
and they haven't even gone
I
through all the way.
guarantee you. I mean, again, I might be a little bit nerdy that some people do
Yeah.
not know about. When I wake up in the morning, I listen to podcasts,
Yeah.
and usually I listen to things like Dr. Huberman,
Yeah.
you know, and I've mentioned it previously. It sounds like I'm in love with the
Yeah.
guy, but it's all scientific database that affects your life. And he talks about the latest thing. His podcast was about gratitude. You know, it's the simplest thing, but gratitude is actually scientifically proven to work. And when I say it's not gratitude, just it's not like sharing a post from Buddha diary that gratitude is important. This goes into scientific human anatomy, how gratitude affects your brains and your synapse firing and
Yeah.
your heart rate. It even said when you show gratitude, you share the same
energy.
heart rate
Yeah, yeah,
beat
yeah.
with the person
Same
you're sitting in
frequency.
front of you.
Yeah.
So imagine to what
Yeah.
level, and we're not talking here someone just assuming,
Yeah.
you know, we're
No,
talking
tests,
about
yeah.
data,
But not
people
just
being
that,
measured.
Not just humans. You know, in Japan, the test they did with the rice, right?
No.
So put two. It was either a rice or a plant. We can fact check.
Yeah.
That. Two rice in 2 cups.
Yeah.
One of them they shouted insults.
Okay.
For a week. The other one
Okay.
they shouted praises.
Yeah. One
For a week.
sprouted, one didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look,
Crazy, bro.
I remember all this
That
stuff.
one was probably in Arabic.
It's so funny where the world is at, and we're laughing here. I mean, it is a serious conversation, and a lot of people out there might be saying, "A bunch of dickheads. What are they talking about? You know, this is the world, the way it's going. We got to go that way, and so forth." Yeah,
You gotta go that way.
no, the world is changing, and
Yeah.
we have to adapt, and we have to continue to move forward and evolve and grow as human beings. But we are not going to grow if you are going to make my brain numb.
Yeah.
We're going to grow in the digital world. It's going to speed up. We're going to go into cryptocurrency. We're going to go into a totally different world that our children
grow up into a whole
are
different thing,
going to experience things that we're not going to experience in their kids as well. But not if you numb my brain.
Yeah.
I'm happy in moving in that path, in that journey. I'm happy to move into the hyperloop
Every day
new
as it
world.
comes. Every day as
but
it comes, yeah.
allow me to utilize my mind. And that's where, until today, you and I can practice mindfulness.
Yeah.
We can use our brain. We can analyze information. We can see what's good for us. And why are we asked to perform?
Yeah.
I mean, I think these days we perform.
Yeah, yeah.
People perform.
Yeah.
Okay, there's no one there with a cue saying do 1, 2, 3, 4, but the narrative
Well, there is.
makes
It's
you
called
perform.
government.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
it's not purely
Yeah, yeah.
government as well. And anyone listening, I'm not here direct government. It's the power
Yeah.
of social media.
Yeah.
It's the powerful of social media. Is it powerful? Yeah. Does it allow me to help people who have problems? 100%. Am I a psychologist or a psychiatrist? Not at all. Would I say I know
Yeah,
a little bit more
experience,
about
yeah.
resilience than others? 100%. And I discovered that with all the people I interviewed, and we shared the same experiences. Not
Same.
until you go through a massive challenge or adversity in your life till you learn the power of resilience and transcending beyond. Maybe my experience is a big T, big trauma with a T. Someone else have had 7 heart transplants.
Yeah.
I got beautiful friends, like amazing people who walked around for 2 years waiting for a heart with a battery
Yeah, on the backpack. Yeah.
in a backpack, and their heart is being pumped artificially from the outside. Now, these people know about adversity more than anyone out there. Yeah, because when you go in to have a shower, your heart is sitting in a little case.
Crazy.
Yeah, when you walk around to go to dinner with your friends, your heart is not inside you.
It's on the table.
It's
yeah.
in a bag if the battery runs out, you know.
Yeah.
And people tend to forget, and
Yeah.
everybody wants to treat their adversity as it's the biggest thing in the
Yeah.
world. Remember, everyone defines adversity differently, but everyone will face adversity, whether today or tomorrow. Remember to accept your situation. Remember to be mindful about how you act next time a reoccurrence happen, And when I say mindfulness is before you say something, forget about how it's going to affect someone else or offend them, because everyone's getting offended these days. Say to yourself, what I'm saying today, is it taking me back away from my dreams? Just stop for a second. Just, I don't want to go to the gym. Stop for a second. Why am I not going to the gym? Why am I being lazy today, AJ? Let's get my ass to the gym. When you start consciously talking to yourself and recognizing this is mindfulness in action. When you actually take action to stop the reoccurrences of these things stopping you from achieving, that's when you start rewiring your mind.
Yeah, I'm totally agree with you. I mean, we think the same with a lot of things. Even one of my friends that was on the podcast the other day, he said an Albert Einstein quote, which was to take the same action every day and expect
The same result.
It's ridiculous. I want to show you something that I have on my phone, which I've mentioned before, but you'll appreciate it, to show that how very similar. So I have this picture in my phone, in my favorites. Very simple picture.
Very nice.
Whenever anything is going on,
you can see it.
just the empty grave. Whenever anything seems like it's overwhelming,
Yeah.
could be worse.
Yeah. 100%.
Simple as that.
Look,
it's just, simple as that.
there's a guy from SAS Australia. He was the doctor, Dr. Pronk.
Yeah.
Now, he was with Anne Middleton and all those guys doing the SAS Australia. Who Dares, but this is the Australian version, which gone crazy. Now, this guy, I'm working on hopefully to interview, and he's amazing. So he wrote a book about resilience, and he is actually a doctor, a medic, but he's also an operator, which is like a full-on commando, which were very rare. You're on the front line, and you're also a medic. And he always says to himself, he created this thing called the suck meter. When life, wondering, I just got to find, a ticket, he stops for a second and he remembers things in the war and people dying and not eating or whatever. And he goes, my suck meter doesn't suck after all. Yeah. So you have these people, and
you have to have perspective.
And people relate a lot to, when it comes to resilience, a lot of people go back to operators, and operators meaning people who, were in the front lines doing special missions, and they're very powerful, resilient human beings, and they've become like this show thing these days. They're the power. They're the writing books. They're doing a reality TV show, and thank God for that. Less Kardashians, more Anne Middleton. Now, the reality is these operators have experience, have lived through the toughest chapters of their life. Killing, which they admit, having their mates killed, being maimed, and the list goes on. So there is nothing that they have not experienced to an extent. And that's why a lot of them, when they come back, they go through these mental breakdowns and so
PTSD.
forth. Yeah, but now they're finding a way to put it in purpose. And I love that, and I love learning from them as well. And I think it's very critical, people out there who probably, want to watch something on TV. If you can just Google SAS Australia and watch how they bring normal celebrities and they break them down to reality.
Yeah.
And you realize it's not the biggest, it's not the fittest, it's the more powerful mind that actually win. So you mentioned it. You have to look at yourself.
Yeah.
You have to set something, stop whinging. And again, this is the narrative.
Yeah.
Oh, don't say stop whinging, because there's, a lot of mental illness out there. That's not the right approach. I'm all with it. I respect it. But there's a level where, I dropped the water. I need to see someone. Come on. There is a level, and everyone's going to say, but everyone has got different level of mentality or acceptance of their trauma. I agree. But let's normalize, let's put a benchmark where things are classified that need, support and so forth. But this throwing around the, you need to see counselors and you need for anything and everything is really overtaking, is really overtaking how you empower your mind, how you dig deep into your innate resilience that you're naturally born in. Let's stop celebrating those negative aspects of life, which are the trauma, and we are celebrating them through providing a lot of assistance through an atom. And let's try to redirect some of that energy into showing people how to be resilient, how to normalize adversity, how to be mindful of their action, because a lot of people are failing through their own choice. And people got to remember that. You can't play continuously a victim of your environment that when you were a child. And, you know, Arabic background, oh, you never talk about your childhood, you know. Stop for a second. Stop. Go back. You probably were told, you got to go to this school, you got to become a doctor, you got to do this, you got to do that. Again, depending on the culture.
All had the magic shahata as well, bro.
Exactly. You had the belt, you
Yeah.
had whatever. Again, people need to talk about these things. Normalize it, it's fine. But talk about it and let it go. Don't talk about it and keep dragging it till you're the age of 80. One thing I've learned is you cannot repeat what your previous generation has taught you. It's a different time. It's a different place. You know, listen, recognize, allow, nurture, support, let it grow, whatever it might be. They want to be a ballet dancer, a chef, a cook, so forth. Don't create this environment around them where you're pushing on a journey. And a lot of kids, you see a lot of families out there, oh, you know, yeah, my child wanted to be a chef, so I wanted to support him. Why are you making a big deal out of it? You shouldn't even be talking about it. You know, it's like saying, you know, I'm so special. And no, whatever they want to be, let them be. As long as we can embed in people love, spirituality, and again, that's going to sound a bit like, oh, so softy, but that's the reality. If you wake up tomorrow and you're full of gratitude that you're being alive, not in that empty grave that you just showed me a picture of, and you got your wonderful kids next to you, and you got to get in your car and have a laugh, and you might have a hard day at work, and you might have a tough day, not want to work till 10, 11 o'clock at night or whatever. You know what I mean?
It's a job I love.
Exactly.
I never work a day in my life.
But these are the questions you need to ask. You have built this energy around you for your day, and you're going to pass it on to everybody. But when you wake up and your children's screaming and you're screaming back, or you're totally isolated and blocked away, and then you're getting in your car in that negative mode, hey, you have just drawn your own negative day. You've designed it. You're the designer of your day. So remember, the power is with you. And it sounds like the power, I'm writing a book, the power is... No, it's a simple word. The power is with you. It's in you. Shitty job, leave it. If you're at your work and dreaming to be somewhere else, do something about it to be at that somewhere else. Realize that life is short. Realize how many people are dying from heart attacks every day, and you could be one of them. You, AJ, you, and everyone else. So I would say, check your heart. Make sure you are aware of what you are doing and what it's causing, in what it's going to cause you in the future. And this is where I talk a lot about nutritional and healthy life. And again, when I say nutrition, healthy life, I don't pick a diet. I don't pick a particular, I support natural food, whether it's animal-based or whatever it might be. Reduce processed food as much as possible. There's no doubt about how processed food play crazy roles in your lipids and glucose level. Live a very nutritional life, healthy life. Again, that's debatable. It could be a different story, but I don't want to go that path. Whether you like to eat organs, whether you like to eat eggs, just remember sunlight, so important to you. Being outdoor, being active, and try to control your calorie intake. And when I say calorie intake, I'm not saying hold the calculator, scan the barcode, see how many calories, average intake per day, 2,000, 2,500. That's not what I'm talking about. be reasonable. Understand that every day eating Maccas and finishing the day with a 300 gram of chocolate at night while watching TV and going to the movie, adding some nachos, it doesn't need a nutritionist or a personal trainer to tell you you're going the wrong path.
You know what you're doing. Like kind of thing.
Everyone knows what they're doing. Everyone knows what they're doing. Are we going to change the manufacturing world where it's going to say, eat this once a week or don't eat this processed food? Never. Will the world of manufacturing food say, this is processed meat, I can cause 1, 2, 3, 4?
No, I mean,
never.
we're
it's
at a
not going to
stage where
happen.
there's too much money to be lost.
Correct.
You know?
Correct.
Dude, it's been an absolute pleasure having you, but I'm worried about your daughter now because we've been going for 2 hours.
Oh, it's okay. She's in the production room. I hope she...
But we will do this again.
Mate, it's
For
been
sure.
a pleasure. And
I want to end this how we started it. The moral of the story.
Can you sing a song?
Yeah. So join me in singing.
Let's see.
Heal the world.
Make it a better place.
For you and for me and the entire
Entire
human
human
race.
Should we hug?
Yeah, right. We should hug. No, dude, thank you so much. I'll have all of his socials up there, so you guys can get on the links and do it. And again, I really do need to do my checks. because I have a
Remember,
lot of
we're not for
histories.
anyone. We're for everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, but you know when you were saying that thing about the whole checking and stuff, I was just like, yeah, I
Yeah.
know. Yes, I know.
Yeah.
So I will make sure to do that, especially with the history of my family.
All right, man. Thank you.
Anything you want to say goodbye to the 4 haters that are watching?
Thanks for all the team. Thank you for the haters. Look,
Yeah.
you can hate. It doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
It's not going to change my mind. I hope it changes few people out there. And let's forget changing anyone's mind. Let's get people out there checking their heart. That's it.
Boom. Check your hearts. Boom.
Jibber.